It is my delight and pleasure to have Molly Claire here on the podcast today. She is a coach extraordinaire. She helps her clients, who are coaches, become much more effective at coaching and actually get the results that their clients are dying to get. So, welcome, Molly.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with you, Kris, as always.
So, there's been a lot going on for you in the
Yes.
in the last 6 months. And I have been lucky enough to witness all of it. Back in, I think it was springtime, right? You had this idea for a book. So walk us through from idea to today.
Oh my gosh. So, yes, it was May. And of course, Kris, you and I are in this mastermind together. So, you were behind the scenes hearing all of this come about. And so, last May, I was approached about being a part of a book anthology for me to be a co author in this book project endorsed by Tony Robbins. And it was this, thing I was interested in, curious, a little bit of excitement. And as I started looking into it, what came to my mind is that this project in particular, while it was great, wasn't really aligned with what I was wanting to bring forth with my work. And but what happened as a result of that is I really started thinking about the parts of this project that I liked and started thinking, how could I really be a part of something that did align, that did bring, my work about? And it was almost just like this bolt of lightning that hit me. And I could see the faces of many of my clients who I've master coach certified and thinking about their gifts and their mission in their business. And I decided that I wanted to create a book, a collaboration with these women. So that's really how it started. And this was in May. I reached out to them around mid-May. Here we are. It's October as we're recording this, and the book launched last month and became an international bestseller. So that's the Cliff's Notes version of it.
That is incredible. I think so often when we're pregnant with a book, right? When we have this idea that we want to write a book, we assume that we have to do it all ourselves and that we have to
Hmm.
take a year and work and work and work. And not that this project did not require a lot of work, but from my perspective, it felt like it was divinely guided and that there was this flow and kind of effortlessness around how it all unfolded. Like you baked in some support, right, with
Yes,
your
yes,
your book expert, and these women contributed. Each woman wrote their own chapter, right?
yes.
Tell us the name of the book and
Yeah, yeah.
delve
So
in a
here
little
it is.
more.
I have it in my hand, and this one doesn't have the little, international bestseller ribbon, but that's coming soon. But it's called She Rises: Insights and Wisdom from the Women of the Masterful Coach Collective. So, yeah, there was a lot of support in this. And what I'll say is, I know that many of your listeners are people who have a business that is like born of their heart and soul, right? And work that they want to do. And this book, I just keep saying it has a magic about it. And that is because I leaned into a project that I could feel was going to light me up and that I could feel that it was also going to light up and elevate each of these women and allow a ripple effect of their messages into the world. So it's kind of like if you think about if I'm leaning into a project because I feel called to it, I feel lit up, I feel energized, and then I'm bringing together 12 women who have like done the work of the heart and soul and who serve others, and they come in with that same energy. It's inevitable that it's going to be wildly impactful, right? And so yeah, this book is, and I'll tell you a little about the sort of support and processes as well. But this book, each of us contributed a chapter to the book, and so the chapters they range from facing, things like grief, the unthinkable, how to handle our emotions in those times in our lives when we feel especially stuck, facing midlife, um, you know, all of the things and the phases we experience as women. And in particular, how do we navigate them, not just so we're surviving, but so we're actually thriving and becoming? So there's just a lot of magic in these. And it also, because all of these coaches have trained with me in my like methodology, we're weaving in all of these concepts that just make for really powerful coaching and powerful growth.
And had any of these women written a book before, or was this kind of a new adventure for
No.
them? Yeah. Wow.
This is one of my favorite things. So I had written a book before and it, became a bestseller and it was such a fun experience for me then. And this was a fun experience in a different way in that for me to be a part of this project and all of these women rising up, stepping into their authority, and to become international bestsellers, for the first time and getting published was just like such a delight. It was such a delight. I mean, you can tell we're still kind of buzzing from the excitement of it. So,
So tell
yeah.
tell me more about, you had mentioned you got on a Zoom call with these women after the book launched and after it became a bestseller internationally. What were some of their reactions when they got the news?
So, well, and when we, yes, the call that we had, I remember the one you're talking about. So this was actually on the day of launch. And we were still like waiting for some of the rankings. We had ranked number one in Canada, and we were kind of climbing the charts in the US and watching the UK as well. And we came together on this call, and it was so what it was a live cast for us to kind of tell about the book.
Mm.
So there was a spotlight on each of these women. And I will tell you that here I sat in awe of these women who I've seen them, um, in those moments when they had the most doubt, when they were feeling the most fragile, when they were struggling to put themselves out there. And I see these women come together, and you would have thought that these women had been speaking on stages and spreading their message their entire lives.
Wow.
And I mean, truly, like two in particular that stand out is I think of one of the authors who, when she first came to me to work with me, she would kind of hide in the background of the groups. And she told me it's really hard for me to speak up. And it was like when she started speaking, it's like the room stopped and it was like all eyes on her. And another one of these coaches that actually she had a stroke at the age of 48 and had to really relearn her communication skills and her ability to articulate. And I mean, she was articulating these concepts that are so deep in such a masterful way, and it just lit me up. So I know that doesn't exactly answer your question as far as how they reacted, but it was really beautiful to be a part of watching these women step up. And to answer that question as far as reactions, I think we've all just been over the moon for the last week or so, couple of weeks now, I guess. And everyone's kind of figuring out, okay, now what do we do, right? What do we do with this? It's out there. So
Yeah, it's pretty incredible what can happen in a year, let alone half of a year, when many of these women would never have thought of themselves as authors or leaders in the field. And now they've got this badge under their name. And
yeah.
what a wonderful feeling. What a great way to elevate everybody. Did everybody know what their chapter was going to be about, or was that part of the process?
Pretty much. I mean, so what we, I had the idea. I reached out to my book guy. I'm like, I want to do this. Let's do it. And he said, oh, this sounds great. And, I know you've heard me talk a little about this, Kris. It's like, I said, well, we want to get this out in the fall. And he said, well, you have to understand, it takes a while for people to get on board. And I thought, he doesn't know these women. He doesn't know this community. So we had a call that very next week. And what we did in the process is I presented it to my clients, my certified clients that I knew were ready and capable and had so much to offer. And then they filled out an application, and on that they proposed what their chapter would be. So these women are very skilled and very experienced, and so most of them, they knew what they wanted to write about. There was maybe a little bit of sifting, but pretty much it was just a go. I mean, and literally we had our first group call with the committed authors the end of May. We had drafts of chapters in by the end of June. We were doing editing July, and then it was just all the final stuff. So it was a very intense and powerful project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about the support that you got from your book guy.
Yeah, my book guy, I know. So Everett he's really incredible, and he really supports us in the steps along the way. He's not involved in the content creation piece of it, but we worked, with his editor and then getting the cover set and the title set and the launch in Amazon and really helping us with our strategy. So Everett's fantastic with that. He's done it for a very long time. Like I said, he helped me with my book in 2017, and it's just gotten better and better since then, his process. And then we also had a writing coach. So Kathy, who works with Everett often, she met with each of the authors and kind of, because it can be pretty intimidating to contribute to a book, and especially to feel like, okay, well, I want to make sure I'm pulling my weight, or I want my, chapter to be really great. So I think a lot of that was just giving that peace of mind, and then she gave that guidance along the way. So
Mhm.
it really, and like you said, several of these women had thought about writing a book one day. None of these women started 2025 with the idea in their mind that they were going to be a published author by the end of the year. So it was like there was a learning curve, but between Everett and his team, and I was there leading them, and Kathy, and all the steps along the way. It just was a really nice way for them to lean in and step up to their expertise. So,
Totally. And I think when you have a collaborative project like this, it's important that the chapters all work together. So how lovely that between you and Kathy, you could kind of lead the way to make sure like one chapter wasn't not fitting with the rest of the group, right? And it all kind
yeah,
of flows together.
yeah, yeah.
Well, congratulations. I am so happy
Thank
for you.
you.
Yeah. So,
Thank
number one
you.
bestseller in the US, number two in the UK. Is that right?
Yep. So we hit four categories in the US at number one, and then number one in Canada and number two in the UK. So,
And let's talk strategy for a minute, then I want to shift gears and talk
okay.
about your own business. But there is a strategy to launching a book and getting that type of notoriety under it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
what's the high level? You don't have to get into too much detail, but I haven't
yeah.
really gone through that process, so I'm just curious, like, what is that strategy that ensures that you get to number one in a category?
Yeah. So, and part of the details I wouldn't even be able to articulate because Everett's team does the heavy lifting on that. But what I will say is that um, you really you have to understand that this, like a New York Times bestseller, those are basically purchased bestseller spots. It's how it is. So, but with a book launch like this where you're going for these, this Amazon bestseller, it really is how many people can you reach and get excited about this book? And so what that meant for us strategy wise is that I was kind of leading up the project because, I have a little bigger following and a little bigger list than my clients. But I really reached out to people that would be excited about the project. And I said, hey, will you help promote this book on launch day? So we had like a special price for the Kindle version of the book that day. And I had 12 power partners. These are my friends and colleagues that have great lists, great followings, who are excited about the book project. I put all the materials together for them to promote. And then I also started doing as many podcast appearances as possible, promoting the book ahead of time.
Mm.
So it takes quite a bit of build up leading up to where you're gathering a whole bunch of people on your list ready to buy the book on the day that it launches.
Right.
So
Yep.
I led that up. Yeah, go ahead.
And it's worth it because you get it for 99 cents on launch day, but if you
Yeah,
wait, it's much more than that. So
yeah.
everybody wins. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and with this, and with several of the authors, they also had their own lists that they were building. Some of them relied on mine, but it was just such a cool collaborative effort because, like, one of my coaches, she's phenomenal with reels on Instagram. So she was, giving everyone tips and putting things together. So it was just a lot of collaboration, a lot of excitement build up, a lot of partnership, and again, there's just a lot of power in that, just
Yeah,
energetically. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I think as self-employed coaches or consultants, it can be a lonely path at times, and you're kind of in charge of your own business, and the opportunity to collaborate and have like the shared load, like to share the load of navigating this big ship and keeping
Hmm.
it on course is such a gift. And I think it's so cool that the way it came about. Like Tony Robbins obviously knows what he is doing, and
Yes.
he knows that this collaborative way of doing books works and that it can be really effective. And I love that instead of you just looking at it and going, okay, yes or no, you are like, yes, but I want to do it my way, and I want to do it in a way that really feels aligned with me, my work, my people, and elevating everybody throughout the process. So
Yeah. Yeah.
really, really fun to see.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your business. So I know your business quite well, but why don't you fill us in around exactly what it is that you do for the coaches that you work with?
Yeah. So I train coaches. Specifically, I've offered various advanced coach trainings over the last decade. I've trained and worked with thousands of coaches, master coaches, and right now, the main way that I work with coaches specifically is I offer a holistic master coach training. And so what that means is this is a chance for people who are already coaches, they're already certified in some methodology, but they really find themselves lacking in skills, feeling insecure in certain ways where they can see their client needs something more or something different or their client's not getting results. And they just know there's more to learn. And so Master Coach Training is the container where I train coaches in the 4 fundamentals of lasting change. We're looking at like a holistic approach to coaching, which I can tell you more about what that is. And then we're also dipping into the many different niches that coaches can lean into. And the reason we do this in this master coach training is well, a few things. Number one, we all know when our clients are coming to us with their life, all the areas of their life are going to come up. So even if we don't specialize in something, it's really a good idea to be prepared and well equipped. And the other thing is that as coaches, naturally, because this is a work of the heart and soul, and it's always evolving, that sometimes we shift into different niche areas. So that in a nutshell is what master coach training is. And of course, I can say more about it too. So
Yeah, I think you touched on something I think really important, which is that many coaches get certified and they have got that badge, but they don't necessarily have the skills to get the results for their clients. Or their clients come to them, you know, our lives aren't divided into buckets, right? Everything is integrated. If we're struggling with something personally, but we're working with a business coach, like there, it's all going to get infused. So as a coach, it's very important. Like, I think it would be kind of scary as a coach to show up on a call with a client and feel like, oh my gosh, I'm in over my head here. Of course, our intentions are good. We want to help our clients, but what a scary feeling to not feel like you kind of have the skills necessarily to get them over that hump.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and part of the reason that I leaned into doing advanced coach training and master coach training is that I did a lot of contract work early in my coaching career where I was doing level 1 training for coaches. And as great as the coach training was, I saw just one after the other rounds of coaches that were certified that were lacking in skills and they could feel it. And then the problem is that it's like there are the skills of coaching and then there is the skill of building a business and marketing and sales, right? There are so many things. And
Right.
so it's like if building a business can be kind of scary, it can be a lot. So if here I am, if I'm a new coach and I'm struggling with my skills and then my business isn't working, well, that is just going to just like the doubt and the insecurity, it almost puts just a huge damper on everything. And what I found is that when I work with coaches to really infuse, and it's not, I hate to just say infuse confidence. Confidence is powerful, but as I'm truly helping them to build their skills and really be able to connect the dots for themselves personally so that they are completely certain that they are totally capable of bringing exactly what their clients need. And when I can help them with that, everything else becomes easier. And the business ends up being led by that mission to serve and to help, which is what I think is the best way to lead a coaching business personally.
So
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk in the past about thought work and this idea you mentioned holistic coaching and how thought work, of course, it can be powerful. For my listeners who don't know what thought work is, I'd love to hear about that and maybe the shortcomings of it and how your holistic approach uh, um, it informs the thought work.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So thought work. Anyone that's familiar with the life coach school is like if you're going to look up thought work, that's probably what you're going to find. So, and that was where I had originally trained. And so thought work is when we look at the coaching space, this is any kind of mindset work. This is looking at, okay, where are my thoughts leading me? Or, when we have a certain thought, it creates a certain feeling and drives an action and creates results. So there are a lot of there are a lot of thought models, if you will, right, as to how the power of our thoughts influences our reality. So, in a nutshell, that's thought work. Now, understanding the power of our mind and our thoughts and our beliefs is extremely helpful. And yet, the truth is that if a coach is so focused on having the right thoughts and having the right beliefs and hitting that really hard and the not understanding the emotional world of the human being in front of them, the patterns in the nervous system in the person in front of them, if we don't understand more of how the brain and the body and the nervous system and everything actually connects, then first of all, that thought work is only going to get you so far. And second, it can actually end up being a detrimental approach to people because people start going to this toxic positivity of trying to think themselves out of their emotions or convince themselves that a situation that is probably not good for them is actually okay. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, but please ask me more questions because I want to make sure
I
I'm
know. I think the way you explained that was perfect. Now I want to hear an example of what you just shared. Like you're in a situation and you're basically not acknowledging that this situation is unhealthy or not right for you. Give me an example of either your life or a client example,
yeah.
so we can understand it a little deeper.
Yeah, so let's talk about the relationship space, for example, okay? So you know, it is true that if I'm in a romantic partnership and I am always focusing on the negative of what's going on with my partner. I'm always in a space of being critical and I'm maybe arguing with reality that I believe they should be this, but they're not, right? And so we can see the wisdom in saying like, see the best in somebody else, right? Don't argue with reality, have acceptance of what is. You can see the value in these things, right? But the problem is, and I want to say in particular, with those of us, I'm grouping myself in this, those of us who are either um, highly empathetic, and it's very easy for us to understand someone else's point of view and go to this toxic empathy, and also those of us, I'm grouping myself here, that have that did not learn in our lives, or didn't experience in our lives, um, having our emotional needs attended to and cared for, which is a whole other topic we could go into, but this is a big part of the heart of my work. When you are someone like that, what this means is that we are trying to go to the positive place and override some of this negativity that exists there for us, when actually it's really important for us to take a step back and get really curious about what's actually going on underneath this. Because my critical thoughts of that partner are maybe not surface level. No, maybe they are. Sometimes there's merit to that. But could it be that there are ways that I'm actually not advocating for myself? Are there ways in this dynamic that are unhealthy in some way or another? So that's an example. That's what I mean, where it's not just about positive attitude or what you think you create. It's kind of like actually, as human beings, our emotions and what we feel and the thoughts we have can come from some pretty deep places. And that's why I like to train my coaches to really help their clients to understand themselves, understand what's going on and what is lacking for a human being so that we can actually start to solve the problem from deep within, not just from surface level strategies that aren't going to last.
Yes. And I know the power of your work because I know enough to know you do this for your clients. First, you have to do it for yourself and navigate and heal, and then you can become such a better coach for your clients, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like I the reason I understand 90% of the things that I teach in the way that I do and the depth to which I understand them is because I have been granted these opportunities to learn these things myself, you know? And I
Right.
mean, and I can, there are a couple of episodes we could reference, here from my podcast around thought work being detrimental that I think would be really helpful to people.
Yeah.
But, I definitely years ago went into a relationship, really wanting to have such a strong mindset that it was like, I will create a great relationship because I will bring such a strong positive mental attitude. And really, what ended up happening for me within that is that um, I I really I ended up in a negative place for myself emotionally, because what it became is this wasn't a partnership, this wasn't a leaning in, but it was almost like I was always believing that whatever was going on was a problem for me to fix in my mind about the way I was thinking about things.
Mm.
And it was pretty detrimental. And I've seen other people as well go through this mental game when it comes to mindset work, and it's really problematic. I've seen people start to have panic attacks,
Mm.
breakdowns, and they're so dysregulated
Mm.
because there's a lot of wisdom in our bodies.
Mm.
And when our nervous system is raising red flags, we need to pay attention.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And not pave over them with
No.
things that don't really feel true in your heart.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh, it's so powerful. It's so
It
powerful.
it was, it was, I think, one of the things that was interesting and difficult for me is that I had been coaching mostly with mindset work prior to getting into that relationship. And I was very much a leader in the mindset coaching space. And as I experienced the downside of having that singular approach, um, I had to speak about it out loud because I was experiencing it and I saw other people. And then I really spoke up about it. And when I did that episode about how thought work in isolation can be detrimental, I cannot tell you how many DMs I got from people saying, thank you for sharing this. I started having anxiety. I was having panic attacks. I realized that I was, allowing myself to be mistreated. So it's one of those things that, um, that, it is, I guess I'll just say it's always worth speaking up when we learn these kind of lessons, because there are always people that can benefit. And it's nice to know you're not alone in that stuff.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. So tell me about the four fundamentals of lasting change. And when you talk about lasting change, what I believe you're talking about is creating lasting change for your clients as a coach. Is that it, or fill me in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I teach about the four fundamentals of lasting change, which is essentially this holistic approach to coaching. So the four fundamentals, and then I'll tell you how I would define lasting change.
Okay.
So the four fundamentals are: number one, mind mastery. I've just talked about it. Just because I said, things that to caution people, mind mastery is incredibly important. Shifting our beliefs, shifting our thoughts, especially when done safely, which is what I teach, right? So number one is mind mastery.
Okay.
Number two is emotional resiliency, which is really about emotional self-connection and understanding and integrating our own emotional world, which is a whole other topic. That's probably the the it's my favorite part of the work that I do. That's what I'll say. So that's number two, is the emotion piece. And then the fourth piece is understanding the nervous system, because the nervous system is the backdrop of all of our thoughts and emotions. And our nervous system is constantly taking in inputs all around us. And a lot of the behaviors that we do that we're not so happy that we do come from those instantaneous knee-jerk reactions from activation in our nervous system.
Mm.
So number three is that nervous system awareness. And then the fourth one is having the type of action strategies that are actually going to work, that we're actually going to follow through on. And we can go into those, but when I'm talking about lasting change, certainly this applies to the behavior changes that we want to make, right? The goals that we want to meet. And at a deeper and broader level, what I would say is that these four fundamentals, and understanding them are the ways that we support our clients in making these massive shifts in the trajectory of our life. That's really what it's about. Um, and and yes, this is what I teach my clients to do for their clients. But of course, we're doing it with them first, and I'm doing it with me. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Tell us the story about what's happened for a client of yours after implementing the four fundamentals of lasting change.
Oh my gosh. So as far as my master coach students, right, they come to me to be a better coach, and they become better coaches. They come to me because they want to be confident, and they are confident, and all of that happens. And yet, and that's great. That's fantastic, right? That's what we want. And yet, the best part, my favorite part, and what is really the difference maker for them, is that these women say to me, I finally feel like I actually know who I am for the first time in my life. I am finally able to feel like myself. I'm more relaxed. I'm able to be present with my spouse. I'm able to be calm with my, my kids. I mean, I'll give you just like a couple quick glimpses.
Yeah.
One of my clients who she has um, 5 daughters, most of them grown and gone. She's an incredible woman. She's incredibly calm. She's one of those people that you would think, oh, she has it all together and she's just raised these children beautifully. And I would agree that she has. And she came to a call and she said that she couldn't believe how powerful it was that now that she understands the emotional pieces of life, her own emotional world, how she was able to be with her daughter in emotional connection in a way that she never has been able to before. And the level of connection and intimacy and bonding, it's like, what greater gift can you have, right, than that? And it's stories like that, and especially when I hear from a client. I remember this one client sent me an email and she said, I am a better person in every area of my life. I'm a better partner. I'm a better friend. I'm more compassionate. I'm a better listener. I feel completely, completely different.
Right.
And I mean, and the thing is, I know what they mean because I've experienced the same thing, which is why I teach this work. Yeah.
It's such a ripple effect, right? You do the work
Yeah.
yourself, then your coaches, your students do the work, and then that trickles out to their clients. It's like I'd love to I'd love an infographic about this.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I should have you do one for this.
Yes.
And the other thing that is a really, and this kind of relates to what I saw in these women with the book, right? And that interview is that the other thing is that when we do this deep work and we understand ourselves, and it's almost like, I think most people can relate to the sense of feeling as though there are kind of some holes or some gaps within us or some cracks, right? There are ways that we feel maybe a little bit of angst and some insecurity and just those kind of that like little bit of a buzz beneath the surface, right? And it's fine, it's normal. We don't need to completely eliminate that. But what I will say is that the work that I do with my clients with this holistic approach is really one of experiencing that true sense of fulfillment, where those holes and those angst and those insecurities are really filled with a strong sense of self and peace and certainty in who they are and what they're capable of. And so what that means for these women as coaches is that they stand tall and they're an expert and they speak with authority and they're able to speak, like advocate for themselves and set boundaries. And so, I mean, these are the skills. Like, a powerful woman is a sight to behold. And when these women can cultivate that for themselves in their own life, and then they can speak as coaches and leaders to other people, it's mind blowing.
Mm. I just had a vision of you going into a high school environment and teaching this work to a class of 30 young women. Like
I know,
what
right?
what what we all need to learn, really.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful. What
yeah,
beautiful work. And then when you get to that point, you are so fulfilled. Then it's just a matter of choosing where you want to go. What do you want to create from this place? Not from a place of lack or fear or compensation. What do I really want to create in my life? And then go after it.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and this work is, it's important, and I know it can feel really messy. I mean, and as Kris is here interviewing me, we're in this mastermind, and so you've seen, right, the back end and what it looks like as we're as I, right, personally have continued to build this sense of self. And so having said all of that, if all the people listening and feeling doubt and fear, there's a lot of potential for you to build yourself up, because just because it's a little messy and just because we may feel a little rickety sometimes, it's not an indication of what's possible.
yes.
Yeah.
Let's look under the hood of your business.
Okay.
So you started out, I didn't know you at this point in time, but you started out in partnership with your sister, right? You were coaching partnership, is that right?
So I started out on my own, actually. So I had
Okay.
my own business. I was coaching moms. That was when I wrote my book, The Happy Mom Mindset. So
Mhm.
I had my own business, but then I did go into a partnership business with my sister.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. And so you navigated that, and then you're now on your own again.
Yeah.
And tell me what's going on because anytime I'm online, social, email, whatever, you are present and you're there and you're always showing up with such wisdom and such a heart to help. And you bring such massive value to everyone who knows you, whether they're paying clients or not paying clients. And it's just inspiring for me to witness the way that you do your work. And so I'd love to kind of just look under the hood with like all my listeners are business owners. And what is your formula? Do you have one? Do you have a rhythm? Do you have a strategy? Or are you totally winging it like most of us are?
Well, it makes me really happy to hear you say that about, about what you experience as far as what I share online. Um, because probably like everyone else, I often wonder, am I doing this right? Right? Is this the way? Is this too much? Is this too little? But here's what I will say, and I really do believe this is the key to us bringing our best and succeeding in a business that is a heartfelt business. And that is that from day one, I have been very committed to, I would say, two main things. So, one is my personal commitment to say, I am going to build a business. This was right back then. I am going to build a business that is going to support me and my kids well. And what this means is that I am going to be present and available for my kids. As a single mom with 3 kids, I am going to be there for them. And what this means is that my kids are not going to be fraught with financial worry. And what this also means is that I am going to have a good quality of life for me as a human being.
Mm,
And that commitment to having a business that builds the life I want, that aligns with my values, has always been there and present for me. And that is a powerful force when you have something that you're committed to that aligns with your deepest values,
mm,
for sure.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So there's that. And the other piece is really and I feel, and that's always a driver, that's never gone anywhere, but I feel especially now more than ever this has really grown and evolved, and that is that I am so committed to continuing to lean in to what I feel called to do in my business and what I feel called to share. And what that means for me is that sometimes I'm pushing the limits of my own comfort zone. Sometimes it means I'm saying, you know what, I need to be more bold. I need to say more because I feel called to do it. And so, I wish I could give you a good strategy with metrics. And certainly there are things behind the scenes with that. But genuinely, I feel my business for me is a matter of my heart and my desire to not just share something good, but to really be able to offer to my clients what they are really needing to feel whole and connected and powerful in their lives.
Mm,
And I mean, that's the drive behind it. So I'm like,
mm,
I'll keep trying everything up and down, like left and right. As long as I feel called to do it and I'm impacting people, I'm going to keep doing it.
got it. Yeah. Beautiful. Inspiration, right?
Yeah.
And click up. I'm kidding.
And click up. Oh
Um,
gosh, I know that we've had quite the jokes about that behind the scenes because I have been simplifying the back end of my business, and ClickUp was quite a thorn in my side for a while, and I am glad to say that I don't get into ClickUp anymore.
you broke up with ClickUp.
I broke up with ClickUp, so
So as we wrap up here today, tell us a little bit about your membership. How can my listeners work with you? How can we buy the book? Like we want more of you. So fill us
everything.
in. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so where should we start? So the book, easy, right? It's on Amazon. She Rises. You can Google She Rises Molly Claire. It'll pop up. It's got this beautiful green cover with
Mhm.
the moon rising behind the mountains. So that's where you can find that, and it'll be in the show notes. And also, the best thing to remember is mollyclaire.com. Because if people go to mollyclaire.com, there's a link for the book there and everything else I'm offering, including my podcast. So there's that. I do have a podcast. It's called Life Mastered, and it's really talking about what a life well lived is, and how do we lean in to what life has to offer us and learn from it. So as far as like resources that people can check out, there's all of those. But I would love to tell you about the membership.
I want to hear all
Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you are, so the Life Master, the membership is a brand new offering that has really combined, the last decade of my work with doing this deep coaching work to where it is a place where people can come and be a part of a community of powerful women and have the support you need. This is especially for women who are high responsibility women. They are holding everything together. They are ambitious. They are driven. And they really need a little bit of help and support. They need to reconnect with themselves. They need balance. And so that's what the membership is all about. And you can find more details on mollyclaire.com for the membership.
And is the membership for coaches only, or coaches and leaders, or all kinds of high responsibility women?
Yeah, so good question. So, and then I can say more about my master coach training. So, master coach training that I've been talking about is for coaches. But yeah, Life Master, the membership, it is not exclusive to coaches. This is truly a place for what I refer to as high responsibility women, ambitious souls. And so if you're listening to this and you're someone who is really committed to your own growth, your own evolution, and you want to have really great powerful support and learn your own mind mastery, emotional resiliency, and these things that I teach my coaches to work with, that's really a chance for you to work directly with me so that I can help you with that in your life.
Beautiful. All right, everybody, go check it out.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it. You're going to love it.
Okay.
Everybody wants more of Molly. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. What wisdom that you shared with us. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kris. It's so fun as always.